Elsewhere in the world, there was a massive earthquake in Thailand and Myanmar. This video from Leaflet. I believe she's reacting to
Did you guys
decoy
hear about the
boss.
big earthquake, dude? Did you guys hear about it? There was a massive earthquake in like Asia.
A massive 7.7 magnitude earthquake hit Myanmar
Huge.
that also impacted parts
Good
of Thailand
God.
and China.
Dude, if that would be the worst fucking position to be in.
Yeah, there's been several security cam videos that have been released of luxury skyscrapers in Thailand, where there's an infinity pool up on the top deck, and all of a sudden you can just see the building swaying, and you can see the water within the infinity pool sloshing about. Legal Mindset actually put up a very interesting looking YouTube shot of one of those buildings, an exterior shot, and just we'll get to it in a moment, but footage of the water from the infinity pool just cascading downward towards the streets. Hey cutie, hello Ruby, hello. Saw those, yeah. It's rather gnarly video, but we'll get to it.
Can you imagine being in that pool when this happened?
This is the sort of thing that would make me scared of heights. I am not afraid of heights. I thankfully did not inherit that from my father, who is quite frightened of high heights. So yeah, this is Ruby. Thank you for redeeming first. Thank you. But yeah, something like this, and especially just seeing the swaying and seeing the water doing all of this is, yeah, that would make me so nervous about living up so high above ground like that.
What else you do? Shai, what else do you do? What can you do?
Get out of the
pool. What can you do
pool.
at that point?
Take shelter somewhere.
Can you imagine being up there, dude? And then, dude.
It appears that several of these
rooftop
pools began pouring gallons of water off the side, but some of this footage shows swimmers and even crane workers falling off the buildings.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, my God.
But in China, people on the ground level were getting swept away by the falling water.
Yeah, it's that much water falling down in such an isolated geographical area. Yeah, it will literally wash people away, and for obvious reasons you can't really show that stuff on YouTube unless you have special dispensation as a news organization to possibly show that, because apparently advertisers don't like that sort of thing. I find that dubious at best. And no, actually, I just think that's complete bullshit. Advertisers really don't care.
A building under construction collapsed.
Holy
It
shit.
was crazy, guys. It was crazy. Yeah, this was a big earthquake. This was a big earthquake, and it hit a place that's probably not structurally, they're probably not structurally prepared for it, a lot of the buildings, right?
No.
Like, you think about,
I mean, that's probably, if it is being earthquake-proofed in some form or fashion, it was still in the process of that happening when when the earthquake struck. So, yeah, this is always a risk that as you're putting up a high-rise like that something's going to happen to knock it down. That would be scary. It would be. Honestly, this footage is reminds me of a certain event I grew up watching on live television. Yeah, I was actually in high school at the time when the Twin Tower attacks on 9/11 occurred, and seeing stuff like this, yeah, this is faint echoes of that. Although this is obviously not a terrorist attack that we're watching. This is the result of a natural disaster. This video footage here on the screen, but yeah, it was just like kind of brings back some old memories, you know.
like if you know, when an earthquake like that big happens in Japan, all of the buildings are reinforced. Like they're fucking ready. They're ready for like the new earthquake, right? Whereas I'm sure a lot of the buildings here are not actually.
No, especially if you're in China. So much of that is just slapdash work. That is all to make it's to make a quick buck. It really is. I would not trust anything built by a Chinese construction company because they will cut corners. If they can cut a corner somewhere, they will.
And hundreds more collapsed across several countries.
Dude, there's people in that building. That's not an empty building. There are people living in there.
That is something that's very important to remember. These are not models on some sort of soundstage that are having a controlled demolition. There's people living inside these flats here, and what you are seeing is a lot of people dying at once. That's what this is. I mean, there's really no other way to put it, is that what we are watching is lots of people dying before our eyes here.
Dude, there's probably a dude in there right now fucking playing League of Legends right now.
And hundreds more collapsed across several countries, as there were several...
It is a miracle if you survive something like that. Most people, it is just, statistically speaking, you do not survive that sort of thing.
Large tremors and aftershocks around this once-in-a-lifetime earthquake, so buildings are down with people still inside. Bridges are down.
Man, there's like a level of damage, it's crazy.
As massive crevices crack open the streets.
Yeah. Japan is ready for this sort of thing. They are almost obsessed because they know the big one is coming. It may still, all of their preparations may still not be enough to save some people, but they're doing what they can. Other countries, developing countries, places like China, places like Thailand, Burma, Malaysia. Well, Malaysia might fare a bit better, but yeah. China especially is just, they're not ready. They're not ready.
Look
leaving
at that.
The citizens stranded inside the cities.
Mm-hmm. Everyone is just on the street at once. That is going to jam up traffic. Nobody's going to get anywhere. Most traffic infrastructure is designed for certain peak times, but even then, that's not maximum volume. Maximum volume? I don't think there's a traffic system anywhere in the world that can withstand that many vehicles on the road without it just turning into an absolute parking lot. And in the most extreme situations, you are having emergency plans put in place and implemented by authorities to turn what would be dual carriageways or two-way highways into one-way. Prime example of this in the Americas is Interstate 45 and I believe 35 in Texas. Very good example. In the event of a hurricane, and this has happened twice in the past 20 or so years, with Hurricanes Katrina, Rita, and then the most recent one a few years ago that struck the Gulf Coast near Houston and Galveston, where authorities had to turn Interstate 45 from a two-way highway into one-way, heading north. So all traffic headed southbound was stopped and turned around, and it was such that everything was heading north, because that is a designated hurricane evacuation route. Hopefully, Thailand has systems like this in place to get people out of these disaster zones like that. but I know that is just one of the things that has saved countless numbers of lives, being able to do that, almost to the point of flipping a switch. Of course, that's not accurate. It is a tremendous effort involving police departments all up and down the Interstate 45 corridor. So you're talking about certain entry and exit ramps being blocked off by police and just forcing everybody up north. That's the only concern, is just getting everyone out of the strike zone of a hurricane.
Daily Mail reporting, this is the most powerful earthquake to hit Thailand in 200 years, as the earthquake was at 1:20 p.m. local time, felt in
7.7 magnitude. That is... It's pretty bad. I know that any higher, and that would be just an absolute epically devastating mother of all earthquakes. But yeah, 7.7, that's pretty bad. Magnitude 3, 4, and 5 can be bad enough. But yeah, 7.7. Jesus.
in Myanmar, Thailand, India, and China, with 100 confirmed deaths so far, but could possibly be in the tens of thousands.
Yeah, there's no way.
Or injured or missing.
There's no way it's only 100. There's no fucking way. This is gonna be easily in the 5 digits of deaths. Yeah, at
easily,
least.
Maybe even more. We won't know for sure until we will not know for sure until they get cruising there and they start doing the morbid work of counting the bodies. Chat, I notice you're sort of overlapping with Leaflet over here, so I'm going to move you over here with the recordings of her chat.
Damage being massive, the President of the United States, Donald Trump, pledges our assistance.
We need a very serious earthquake in Burma, Myanmar.
See, this is guys, this is a disaster I can get behind. This is a time I can get behind where, like, man, like, they just got absolutely fucked, and, like, you know, we should probably, like, help out with some humanitarian aid. The entire world, not just the United States, but I think the entire world can, like, maybe you know, kind of get together and, like, give a little bit, right? Because this is, again, this is like, this fucking came out of nowhere, and it's you know, we can be a little bit kind, a little bit sympathetic towards people that have, like, this shit happen, like, fucking out of nowhere. Yeah, an act of God event. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And I think a lot of conservatives actually would be on board with it.
Roy, welcome in. According to Sage, earthquakes of magnitude 8 or higher occur about once a year. Interesting, I did not know that. Putin survived many attempts on his life, but very much not want to be in his position. He is in a very unenviable position right now. His entire country has been targeted by forces in the Western world, by globalists, to be the sort of seize and occupy type strategy that they always do, and they just want to loot it. They've been wanting to loot it since the 90s, kicked out a lot of the oligarchs. They got mad about that, and then they started trying to psyop in the entire world into a war with Russia because they want the resources, they want the land, they see it as this gigantic landmass to just pillage and plunder, and also to implement the usual gay race communism bullshit. Helps me understand just how important prediction of extreme weather and environmental events is. It's difficult to predict this sort of thing, but preparation, I think, is the better key word here. Preparation for this sort of thing. You know, having your sort of emergency bug-out kits and having, you know, like, portable wind-up flashlights and wind-up emergency radios and, you know, a couple of days' worth of food in the form of, you know, emergency rations that can survive for many years and under extreme elements and whatnot. pack an extra thing of clothes, and just all of the little things that you can do, and just sort of be at the ready in case something bad happens. You hope you never have to use that sort of thing, but if it's there, it's comforting to know it is there.
Even though we have our own problems as well, we have our own problems as a country, but I think a lot of people in their hearts can find it to be like, let's be sympathetic towards these people because they got fucking destroyed. It's a completely different thing from like other conflicts that are like ongoing, right?
Up to several hundred.
The reason why it's different is because this is again like what was said by Circumstantial in chat, is an act of God event. It's just force of nature. What do you do about it? This isn't like a geopolitical thing. This isn't a I mean, I guess you could maybe say that there might be some mismanagement involved, but I mean, like, you don't expect this kind of level of an event to occur, right? Again,
No,
it hasn't
you really
happened in 200
don't.
years. Think about that. 200 years? That's a crazy long time.
Yeah, incredible long time. Our great grandparents, I don't think, were even alive during the last time it happened.
Think about the technology difference from 200 years ago. That was the last time that something like this happened.
Killed. The military regime there has asked for help from anybody.
Yeah, we're going to be helping. We've already alerted the people. Yeah, it's terrible what's happened. It's helping. We've already spoken with the country.
And with tragedies like this, it's always important to think.
Yeah, exactly. What Naga Tamen says, I think Americans are happy to help in an emergency. We just don't want to be helping this emergency 10 years from now. Yeah, exactly.
About preparedness and your.
Yeah, that's a healthy attitude to have. Most people don't mind if there's an actual emergency, helping people get back on their feet, but continuing to beg and plead for assistance 10 years after the fact, it's like, well, you've had 10 years to do something about this. What the hell have you been doing this whole time?
Your own home, workplace, and school. As with natural
You should be, but I mean, not everybody can do that. Not everyone has the technology, right?
Regardless of that, you must do what you can. You may not be able to fully prepare yourself for any sort of act of God or whatever,
Like Japan.
but you can still do what you can. That is what you have an obligation to do, is what you can to prepare.
Is used to this because Japan gets freaking smashed by these kind of earthquakes all the time, right? I mean, it's only a matter of time before something happens in the United States, and it does happen, right? It has happened. Like hurricanes have hit pretty hard.
Yeah, I think we're still overdue for like the mother of all earthquakes in the United States happening on the West Coast, and it's probably going to be a big one. If it hits the San Andreas Fault, it could dump a portion of the west coast of the US right into the Pacific Ocean, and massive loss of life. That's the big fear, is something striking around the San Andreas Fault, and it's all of a sudden bye-bye Los Angeles and goodbye San Francisco and goodbye San Diego, cities like that are right there on the edge. Of course, some people would argue that, the death of the city of Los Angeles might be a good thing. But, in all seriousness, no, it would be a devastating loss of life. It's something that's been a concern for well over 50 years now. And at this point, we're all just sort of waiting for the big one.
Before in the United States, and it's only a matter of time before another earthquake happens in the United States, or maybe like a volcano blows up or something, right? It's only a matter of time before it happens again.
You never know if you'll suddenly be stuck somewhere for days, and it's easy to find ourselves unprepared, even down to what to do during a disaster. We saw those train passengers basically freeze in place when they could have at least tried to duck and cover. Those guys inside those rooftop swimming pools were just riding it out, completely unaware that other swimmers were getting sucked out the sides. And outside those buildings,
honestly though, like to be real, like what can you do? So like,
most people, I mean, I have only been through minor tremors not really like a full-blown earthquake. And it catches you by surprise. So the freezing in place, not that unusual of a human reaction, because you are noticing that you are off balance, but you yourself are standing upright, or you're sitting up straight. But in my case, the tremor happened when I was in bed, waking up, and actually I was woken up by it. And it sort of felt like this sort of wave just kind of came over, and yeah, that was it. It was very short, and it just felt like a wave on the ground, and then it was done. I felt it once in an office building, but it was like a tiny little earthquake. And honestly, it wasn't that bad, but the phone calls we got, this was in my radio days, the phone calls we got about that sort of thing, just everyone losing their bloody minds over it. And it's like, people, it was a small tremor. I was like, oh, okay, you felt that. Congratulations. Do you want a medal? It's like, eventually we had to counter with the question. It's like, are you calling about the recent tremor? Yes. Okay. Have you any damage? Well, no. Okay. Thank you. Goodbye. I think for some people, the natural reaction to such extreme, unpredictable events is to freeze in place, a sort of response to trauma, I think. Yeah. It's almost like an animal instinct response. Or, like some people on 9/11 were reputed to be doing all of the usual things to sort of save their work and close down their computer and, turn off their computers before they left. And for some of those people, they waited too long and it cost them their lives. Some people, they don't take it seriously enough. And for some people, they freeze. So it's hitting that right balance of knowing what to do in a situation, staying calm, and not freezing. Actually implementing the action, not freezing, and staying calm. That can be hard to do for a lot of people. A lot of people just do not have the mental fortitude to do that sort of thing.
Like you're this dude, right?
Those guys inside those ropes
on the corner. What can you do? Your best bet is to just hold on. You have a railing here,
yeah,
and you have two things to hold on, 2 points of contact to hold on to. What do? If you move this way, you have less points of contact. If you move this way, you have an even higher chance of getting swept out. So it's like you kind of just have to like brace and just pray. If you're like at the edge, maybe you can get out, but like not from that position.
Top swimming pools were just riding it out, completely unaware that other swimmers were getting sucked out the sides. And outside those buildings, people forget the minimum safe distance from a damaged structure is twice the height of it. I mean, we could go...
It happened almost instantaneously. There was really nothing those people on the ground or inside the structure could do. That building was going to come down. Because it just wasn't... It either was not built to withstand the hurricane for whatever... or the earthquake for whatever reason. And it all happened so fast that humans aren't built to have those quick reaction times. I mean, it's just one of those things that comes on instantly. There's no way to react that quickly. There's no cat-like reflexes that are going to save you in situations like that. That building was going to come down, one way or another, and unfortunately, that's just the sort of risk you take with those sorts of building sites. Now, knowing it was a Chinese firm that was building that, it was like, okay, how many corners were they cutting? You know, how much of this was an inevitability and how much of this was preventable. Aren't earthquakes normal occurrences in Southeast Asia? Is that just Japan? I think it's all over Southeast Asia. You can certainly feel them, even if it were to originate somewhere off like the Sea of Japan or the Pacific Ocean. You'd feel it all the way into mainland China and into Burma and Thailand. By the way, welcome in, Wanina May. I mean, I think it was... I'm trying to remember how long it was. Some 10 plus years ago, there was some... there were a few minor earthquakes that were being triggered in Oklahoma and in Texas. Primarily due to, I believe it was due to the activities of fracking and oil exploration and natural gas exploration. Crews trying to drill for pockets of natural gas. And it's believed that they were inadvertently triggering these small-scale earthquakes. And they may have started in Oklahoma, but you could feel them all the way to Texas. And I know because I was in the thick of it at the time. I wasn't actually working in the oil business, but this was back in my radio days, and yeah, we knew about it. And some of us, we were there and feeling the aftershock when it happened. I think I've only experienced one, but on a lower scale. Yeah, that's what this one was. These tremors that originated in Oklahoma and could be felt all the way into Texas. Definitely on the lower scale. We're talking like 1 or 2 magnitude, but you can feel it. Maybe 3.
Go over emergency preparedness for hours, but the point is, the first time you think about this shouldn't be as the incident is occurring. So
That's
hopefully
true.
everywhere you spend time,
Fair
you're
point.
properly stocked up on water and supplies. And as far as recovery efforts go, I'm
I
glad
have so much water and supplies and like extra food just in case something happens. I probably
Yeah, Leaflet and her mum, they are the doomsday preppers. They're doomsday preppers.
should get more, honestly. Honestly, I need more ammo. I need more ammo too.
America wants to step in and help, especially since we have an
Could always get
administration
more.
that is carefully auditing how our money is spent, as too many times evil people utilize disasters as an opportunity to receive massive amounts of money, just knowing most people will forget to check how it's spent. But that's it for today.
Yep. As long as we're sure that it's being spent wisely, I think people can get behind it. As long as we know that it's going in a way that's not going to be corrupt, it's not going to go into the hands of people that don't need it.
I'm not gonna plug anything, just hopefully the death toll is as low as possible, that people can recover.
Buckets of food and boxes of MREs and boxes of freeze-dried food. So there's there's a stack basically where so you get fresh first, freezer next, canned next, and then you have MREs and then dry. Well, depending on the expiration date of the MREs and the dry stuff, but yeah, and then last freeze dried, because freeze dried lasts longest. Freeze dried stuff lasts like 35 years or something like that. So freeze dried is while freeze dried is the most expensive, it's also the most shelf stable. So freeze dried is the best for long term storage. If you're like.
All of this is 100% accurate. I don't know if any of you have partaken of MREs and freeze-dried foods. I have sampled a few of those, just out of my own curiosity and to sort of educate myself on disaster preparedness. And, I mean, some of it's all right. MREs are incredibly salty, and the salt is basically there as a preservative. It's interesting, the cooking process. I think one I had was like an American Army grade. What's one of the default ones they have, like a beef stroganoff or something like that, and you set it up where you've got this special heat pack that you expose it to a portion of oxygen, and all of a sudden it starts to generate heat, and that's how you cook your MRE. Ate one of those, felt like I was eating just a massive brick of salt that happened to have beef stroganoff with it. Tasted all right. In a pinch, when you're in an emergency situation, you're grateful just to have decent tasting food like that. Trying to think what else. I have had certain freeze-dried snacks. Like, I don't know if anybody's ever had like the space ice cream, the freeze-dried ice cream before. That's pretty good. Expensive, but good. High in sodium, yes. I think primarily it's there to act as a preservative, to, keep them from going bad, keep the shelf life for longer. But yes, it is going to be high in sodium, so have a bottle of water with you. You're going to need it. It's going to make you so thirsty. It will satiate your hunger, but you'll be very thirsty.
Like, I just need to stockpile up. You just buy a little bit of freeze dried, like number 10 cans. You just buy a bunch of them basically, and then you have that. You have that. You can pop that open like when you need it. But it's also the most expensive. Dried is like relatively cheap. Canned is more expensive than dried. Dried is relatively cheap, but it's also like not the best. Like, it doesn't taste as good. Get more food. Starlink on the generator. I have two Starlinks. We got.
Oh yes, that's becoming the new thing too. Is to check into Starlink and see how much that is. I know at one office that I was working at, it was a small firm out in the countryside, and the particular neighborhood that we were in, the choices of internet were shit. So we had Starlink as a backup, and it got to the point where we started getting into litigation with the internet provider because it was just it was such terrible quality internet, and a really good day was when a large telecom company came through and laid down new fiber optic cables, and it turned out the old company had set up access boxes on utility poles, and they did not weatherproof things appropriately. So whenever it rained or whenever the heat got really intense, like 100-degree Fahrenheit days, or well over 40 degrees Celsius, that meant that things were going to start failing, things were going to start melting, and that's exactly what happened. Things got waterlogged, things got damaged by heat, and so it became impossible for us to conduct a business. And so we sued the internet companies, and it eventually we switched over to another provider that had come in, laid fresh fiber optic cables, and things started working really well. Need to leave for now. Thank you for the news and wishing you all a happy and safe weekend. You too, Roy. Thank you for stopping by. But yeah. Yeah, we had Starlink as a backup. This was in the early days of Starlink, and it was not very good. It was about on the level of performance with, like, say, HughesNet. I know that's one of the other satellite internet providers is HughesNet, and that one has always been shit. At best, you get, I don't know, old DSL quality speeds, which is these days that's nothing. That's like the first thing you think of when providing these services. Yeah, but I know this particular firm. This is in a small town somewhere in the United States. the way telecom companies, especially internet providers, work is that they are hitched to what used to be cable television providers. And the way all of that was set up in the legacy system was that there were regional monopolies. And so zero incentive to keep up the infrastructure, because the attitude of the local cable companies is like, well, where are you going to go? It's either us or you don't have internet or you don't have television. And so they will use that to provide the shittiest infrastructure and the shittiest service possible. And slowly but surely, Starlink is I think, beginning to provide an alternative to that. It's not noticeable now. I think it will be noticeable later on for a lot of Americans when the idea of a small satellite dish about the size of a dinner plate, you begin to get higher quality internet out of that than through your local fiber optic provider. That's when I think the telecom companies are really going to start realizing we are 1000% fucked here. We have so abused our clientele base for so long that now all of a sudden they are leaving in droves because an alternative is there. Many of them will put up a fight and try to have Starlink banned, or try to force through laws and regulations to where they have to be the providers so that they maintain that sort of monopolistic control over things. But I don't think that's going to save them in the end. You know, they did great, and when that hurricane hit Florida earlier this year, last year, yes, in a disaster, Starlink is an absolute lifesaver. Because so much of what we do now is over the internet. I mean, you're watching this live stream here over an internet connection, whether it be a hardwired data connection in your residence or in a building somewhere, or whether you're watching it over Wi-Fi, or whether you're watching it over a data connection on your smartphone or on a tablet. Either way, it's on the internet. Just like so many of the other things that we do in our lives, we're tethered to the internet. And when that goes down, I mean, you're losing everything. Most people don't have standard landline telephones anymore. Most everything is voice over internet protocol now. I mean, so much is over the internet now. And when that connection goes down for whatever reason, it's like so much of our life just grinds to a halt. And especially in a disaster, when those connections go down and stay down for a long time, for days, weeks on end, maybe even months, it's like you're kind of fucked. You're kind of fucked there. It's bad. It's really bad. So having something like Starlink, at least as a backup, it could literally save your life. Over 1,700 people reported dead, and international aid is springing into action. This after a 7.7 magnitude quake striking Burma, 29th of March 2025, causing significant loss of life. Death toll currently at 1,700 again. The disaster has led to immediate aid responses from neighboring countries, including India and Thailand. Rescue operations underway. Teams from India deploying specialized equipment and personnel. Areas like the Sagaing face challenges in receiving aid due to logistical issues, and social media has been crucial in highlighting the ongoing needs and relief efforts. We've got photographs here. Surgeries being performed outdoors in the open air during an earthquake in Bangkok. Not exactly the most sterile environment, but when lives are in the balance and the surgeries have to be performed right then and there, you have to do what you must. Malaysia's elite disaster rescue team, called SMART. Many are preparing to celebrate, I believe this is a Muslim holiday of Raya. 30 of them are flying over to Burma to participate in aid and relief efforts. We've also got rather apocalyptic-looking scenes. This is from Mandalay in Burma, only seen small snippets of what's happening, given that there's minimal internet and electricity in Mandalay now. Supplies of food and water running scarce. There's a lot of lack of machinery or government support to find people that may be trapped under buildings. O200 start tomorrow because of dispatch. Those surgeries might have been mid-process, needed to be finished. That is possible. That is very possible. In the midst of wreckage, we have video here of the Burmese gathering together in the street for prayer with Buddhist monks. You can see the sadness and the pain on that poor man's face there in the center. Ruby, welcome in. More photographs emerging. Search for survivors has been primarily conducted by local residents without the aid of heavy equipment moving rubble by hand and with shovels in 41 degrees Celsius heat. Found some videos before stream chat of the situation on the ground in Bangkok. They seem to be weathering things rather well, much better than their Burmese neighbours. This is from Global Travel Mate. Let's have a look-see. I've got 2 videos from him in the past 24 hours about what's going on in Bangkok. Probably so many people only have their lives and the clothes on their back left. Yeah, it's sad. It is very sad.
These are the 3 towers of the park origin. And as you can see, they are connected by these sky bridges. And these sky bridges came loose when the earthquake was taking place, and it really looked very scary. Good morning. It is Saturday, the 29th of March, and I'm here at the Asok BTS station. And the reason that I'm here is because
so this would have been about a day or 2 ago.
BTS is running again. Yesterday they shut down the train lines because of the earthquake.
Sensible
so
precaution.
Use the public transport again, which is good. Yeah, yesterday obviously was a very strange day. I came out of the BTS station here. I was on the ground floor when it all happened, and I didn't even realize anything was going on until people started running out of the buildings. For those who don't know me, I run a real estate business here. I started 5 years ago with making updates regarding Bangkok as Global Travel Mate. And the reason is because I love this city and I want to show how the city looks. But now it is also very important for us, for the business, to know which...
Yeah. A business owner turned citizen journalist now, because, you know, somebody's got to tell the story from what's happening on the ground. And I really do appreciate these sort of boots on the ground type coverage. I tend to trust it a bit more than what you would see from the news wires. Plenty of videos on YouTube and other places from Reuters, from Associated Press, from AFP, from the BBC, and other places covering all of this. The usual sensationalist clips, but really I would love to just see everyday life and perspective, you know, somebody just doing almost like a selfie cam, free cam style like this. And it's like, just tell us what's going on. Well, what's your perspective from what's happening on the ground? Yeah, non-biased, boots on the ground, exactly.
Which buildings are still structural sound, which buildings have issues. We got a few messages from clients from us that showed us how cracks happened in the wall, so this is something that we have to take care of. So today, in the early morning, I'm gonna ride around. I'm gonna go and have a look at the Lumpini 24, which is one of the buildings where actually the pool seems to crack down. All the water came down, and I'm gonna go to the park origin in Akamai, and that is the tower well, it's actually the
Yeah, you'll recall yesterday, chat, we saw video of rooftop infinity pools in high rises, tower flats in Bangkok and other places. Just the buildings were swaying so much, the water in the pool was sloshing about and going over the edge and cascading down towards the street level. Some places we weren't really able to show this because of YouTube censorship, but some people in the streets have been washed away by all of that water just coming crashing down on them and just sweeping them away, causing even further injuries, no doubt. But yes, there was at least one instance where it appeared that a rooftop infinity pool, the floor of that pool just gave way, and so the bottom fell out and all the water came out. Thankfully, it did appear no one was in the pool at the time. Thank God.
complex with the 3 towers, where one of the bridges, well, it didn't collapse, but it basically severed. It looked really horrible. Now it's very important to realize which buildings have structural damage. So let's go to the ground floor. I'm gonna go on my bicycle, which makes it very easy for me to go through the city. People that follow me know that I do my early morning rides, but this one is not gonna be for fun. This one is gonna be for the business. Let's go. So I'm going around on my bicycle because this is the easiest way to go through the city. You don't have to worry about traffic. Well, Saturday and Sunday morning it's easy anyway. So this is the first.
Thailand, Vietnam, places like that in Southeast Asia, it is far, far easier still to get around on a bicycle or a scooter, some type of motorbike.
Building that I wanted to check. So this is the Lumpini 24. And yesterday you could see that the swimming pool emptied out completely. So from here you can really see the
this is the one, chat. This is the one. It does appear, whatever was holding up that portion of the pool up there on Lumpini 24, it's gone now. That is down. You can see little bits over here have been kind of folded over and bent, and this is not. That does not look safe. That does not look safe at all. That pool is probably going to be out of commission for months, probably, while they make repairs. I mean, they're going to have to look at the whole building and give it the once-over just to make sure it's all structurally sound.
See, yesterday all the water came out, so the pool is probably empty. So the goal of this morning is not to brand the buildings as being unsafe, because I do not know how the structure of this building is. But
we're not experts. We're sort of eyeballing it, chat. So don't take our word for anything on this. You know, I'm not an architect. I'm not an engineer. I'm not a surveyor. I'm not any sort of real estate professional. I just know a decent property when I see one. That, you know, if I had the money, I would probably buy it. So yeah, just it's one of those things where just it looks a bit sus to the naked eye, but you know, take that with a grain of salt. I would hope the pool is empty. If they kept filling it, just fall out again. Well, that's true in the present state. That's exactly what would happen. Waste of water there.
Professional, I need to know what's going on in the city, and if we have customers, we need to give them the best possible information. If somebody wants to live here, somebody wants to rent or buy, we can tell them the history of the building. And this building is here in Sukhumvit Soi 24. It's the Prompong area.
That one seems to have weathered through things all right.
Are a bit older, and they do seem to be a bit more sturdy, and I don't think a lot of damage happened in here.
I mean, surprisingly, just looking at things on the street level here in Bangkok, Bangkok has weathered this really well, all things considered. For life to be picking up and moving on like this, some 24 hours after a major earthquake, I mean, it really says something good about the quality of life here. I could never live in one of those buildings, especially the higher floors. Yeah, We'll get to it later. I'm sure he's going to show it with the sky bridges connecting those super tall skyscrapers. I mean, number one, a lot of those places are really overpriced. They're overpriced to begin with, but then they market them to foreign expats who are quite obviously paying what's known as, the foreigner or the gringo markup to all of this, because these developers, they know these people have money, and so they're just fleecing them for everything they have. I would be much happier in a townhouse or, a mid-rise flat somewhere than in one of those super tall high-rises, especially in a place that's so earthquake-prone. All that sway in the building would just make me so nervous.
So I'm on my way now to Ekamai, to Tonglo, to go to the Park Origin.
That's rather rare. They're Marriott executive apartments. They don't have too many of those particular properties in the world, but what they are, essentially, is fully furnished, serviced apartments that are owned and operated by Marriott Hotels, specifically targeting long-term international travelers, people who are going to be in certain major international hub cities for a long stretch. They're rather nice. I've seen what they look like, the units on the interior, and you can see them for yourself on the hotel website. But yeah, not a bad arrangement, really. To be fair, the bounce back resilience is probably from moping around won't fix this shit. That is likely a very strong factor too, but it does appear that the Thai government, and especially the municipal government in Bangkok, they knew that things like this were going to happen. They were inevitability, and so they took the appropriate precautions, and it shows that they have, because as we see here, life has just sort of picked up and moved on, because you really have no choice.
And the Park Origin is the building that you saw that has 3 towers.
No sense in dining on ashes forever.
That came loose. So let's go and have a look over there. Yeah, so the next step would be to get in touch with the developer and ask how the structures are. So these are the 3 towers
Park
of the
Origin
Park
Thonglo.
Origin. And as you can see, they are connected by these
Yes.
bridges.
Oh, look at that chat. They just broke apart, didn't they? Not exactly splitting down the middle, but fairly close.
Sky bridges came loose when the earthquake.
I have pork
was
chops. It
taking
sounds
place.
tasty.
Really
It sounds like a really
very
good lunch.
Scary.
Yeah, you can see there in the video chat, broke apart, and it's just, yeah, all that swaying. My God. Those are out of alignment too. Mm-hmm. That one appears to be, yeah, that's in the process of collapsing. Gosh. This is a fairly brand new development. I think we may have even featured a property tour video of this place not too long ago. And then all this happened. So yeah, so much for that.
Connected. Not sure what they're gonna do with this. To be really honest,
I mean, they're going to have to rebuild it. They're already in for the penny, in for the pound. They're going to have to make the repairs and rebuild the thing. Suddenly I want to live further underground now. Well, hey, you're not exactly safe there either, are you? I mean, living underground in an earthquake zone like this, you have to think, what about cave-ins?
if I wouldn't know there was an earthquake yesterday, it almost looks like nothing happened.
Yeah.
The city is back to normal. Public transport is working again. I'm here at the Klong San Sep.
If public transport is not in full operation there in Bangkok, it is more than likely somewhere between 80 and 90% back in operation.
Going to check out how Asok looks. We're actually having nice weather.
Do they have a Waffle House index? I don't think they go in for a Waffle House in Bangkok. It's not that sort of town, you know? Though I'm
Of course,
sure
it's
there's plenty
terrible
of good
to
places
see
you can
what
get
happened with
a
the
hearty
construction site
breakfast.
that imploded, and I guess the structure wasn't sound enough.
Well, of course it wasn't sound enough. It was built by the Chinese.
I've seen the building a couple of weeks ago when I was making a video about the Mochit bus station. I passed it, and I was wondering, it's basically a shopping mall together with an office tower. Yeah, it's terrible.
It is.
I'm here at Petbury, and I just noticed a lot of people were asking, based on the video from yesterday, shall I cancel my flight to Bangkok? And I would say no. The thing is that this is not an earthquake country. This was definitely an incident. I've been living here for 13 years. I've never even experienced anything remotely connected to this. So I'm on a Sok Road now.
I mean, if you're able to feel the aftershocks from something that originated in Burma, I'd still say you're considered an earthquake-type country. You still suffer the effects. I mean, states as far from the west coast as Utah, some of their commercial buildings require seismic analysis. And you don't exactly hear about earthquakes in Utah, do you? But they're close enough to California and to the west coast under fault lines that it has to be done. In my present job, one thing I've learned is that certain parts of the state of Mississippi, they also require seismic analysis because there happens to be a tiny little fault line running through a certain portion of Mississippi. And so, according to regulations, they have to have seismic analysis done on their buildings before they're bought and sold.
As you can see, life is back to normal here.
The fact that this isn't an earthquake area says more for the bounce back.
As I mentioned before, if you wouldn't know there was an earthquake yesterday, you wouldn't really see the difference.
It's like it never even happened.
Yeah, we're actually having beautiful weather as well. It's not too hot, a lot less pollution.
Something else to notice, yeah. Sky doesn't look as hazy. All the creature comforts, KFC, McDonald's, 7-Eleven.
Anyway, I'm on my way to the office. There's a lot of stuff that we have to do regarding our customers.
It's very lively around here. Lots of traffic. You can see why a lot of people still prefer bicycles and motorbikes.
So I hope you found this update informative. Obviously, I do not want to make these kind of videos. I would like to show Thailand when everything is fine and tourism is great, the weather is great, but unfortunately we had the earthquake yesterday. But I do want to show that Bangkok is back up and running within 24 hours. Do not cancel your flights. You can still come here on holiday. Everything is running. If you enjoyed this update, you can press the like button if you want. See you guys in my next one.
I mean, it can't be all good news all the time, I suppose. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon so you never miss an update. If you have any thoughts, questions, or ideas for future videos, drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. You can also follow me on Twitter @LordRexworth for more updates and behind-the-scenes content. And if you want to support the channel, check out my Coffee or Throne pages. Links are in the description. Finally, be sure to visit lordrexworth.com and follow me across all platforms. That's lordrexworth.com. Until next time, I wish you all the best, and God bless.